Okay, so aesthetically, I'll say this. I recently got a drawing tablet, sorry. And I've been practicing my overworld designs and just aesthetically kind of trying to build how I wanted Sho'Zen to look. Should I, actively try to continue the process or the project as a whole, right? Because obviously you guys know I have other projects I'm working on currently. Working on Chaos, nearly finished with that series. Make sure y'all check those videos out. It's doing better than what I thought it would do, but we could always take it further. It's just the way it is. Um, next, there was overall I had to really think of how I wanted the aesthetic of Shozen's universe to really look, and a lot of, I would say, post pre 2012 anime cartoons came into mind, right? Now, honestly, to just give y'all just a little backstory about it, the overall idea from shows for that I came out for shows in general was just to genuinely see what I could really do. And when I say what I could really do, I mean in the point of Yu-Gi-Oh was my favorite trading card game growing up. Always loved it. Always loved going to Target or going to my local 7-Eleven and get like badger my mother or my grandmother to give me like 2 or 3 packs of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Always loved being a headache about that. And in the same given token, and a lot of y'all probably wouldn't know about this, but when Bakugan the original series came out, it was a hit. It was a bigger hit in America than it was in Japan, and it was one of the handful of anime that really stuck out with the kids, myself included. So it really, like, I went back to watch some of those shows again, just to really see what really would sit out for me necessarily. So the designs you guys are about to see relatively are based off of a few things. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Bakugan. Obviously, because it's a trading card game, the main inspiration that I have is Yu-Gi-Oh! And overall, there's a level of intelligence behind it. There's like a school, there's really just a lot of everything in there, and I physically just wanted to bring that together. And it just got to a point where, you know what, we can do that. I can do that. If they can do that, I can do that. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure you leave a like and a subscribe, and I promise you, when the video is done, we're gonna have more to show. So let's get to it. Okay, so now we're here. We're here, and we're gonna do just what I said. Just a quick showcasing of the overall world of Sho'Zen. Now, again, just to provide you guys a little more insight and a little more clarification, I based Sho'Zen off of a few different shows that I used to watch on Cartoon Network as a teenager and as a kid in the early 2000s. So I kind of wanted to really bring that early to mid 2000s look to the point of where I wanted to instantly give the viewer a reference. Like, you'll understand, it'll trigger that endorphins, it'll trigger that response in you, just to make you be like, damn, I remember seeing this somewhere. And at the same time, I wanted to also be, this is where I'm standing at with it now. So, for reference, there is Chaotic, the original cartoon from Cartoon Network. There is the OG Bakugan from 2009. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and just for the sake of concept, I threw in a little extra mid 2000s Pokemon in there. So if you see, if the aesthetic gives you that, you know, Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum vibe, then that's really, then you're doing something right. But anyway, without further ado, let's get to it. So the sketch currently is just a simple 2 houses. You got one house to the left that has like a balcony opening as well as an entrance opening. It's really your basic houses, not really sitting out there too much, not really doing too little. So it's really just as you approach town, you see houses of various sizes, really nothing out of the ordinary, really. Moving on. Next, we have what I would call, and this is where the reference of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX comes into play. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, they have dormitories, which based off your ranking in the school, or in this case, the grades, just like they are in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, you would have your specific dormitories. The lowest ranking, the lowest grades get a below standard, and then the middle grades get a average, and then the higher grades get a above average. So this is what you would consider the middle class of the Sho'Zen universe. This is where pretty much everybody's it's a 2-floor apartment building. You know, all the dorms are, you know, like two to a room, this kind of thing. So it's like the way I really had it pictured is that I wanted it to be like a college dorm, just like it was in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but at the same time I didn't want to make it seem uncalled for. I wanted to really like stick, but not stick too much, you know what I mean? Next one. Now this one is a really an on the nose Pokemon reference. This is a really on the nose Pokemon reference. Now, as you can see, I wrote at the top where it says card shop. Now, similar to how Yu-Gi-Oh! Operated, you also will have your local card shops that are all spread out around the city. You know, like I said before, your rank does come into play. So if you're the lowest rank, you're going to get the lowest amenities, and at the highest rank, you'll get the premium stuff, right? So locally, your card shops will have consider them just the TCG GameStop of your town. Everybody goes there. A lot of people go there. A lot of people try their hardest to, you know, find rare cards to build their decks with. It's similar, and the reference to Pokemon comes in is because just like with, you know, the Pokemarts and the Pokemon centers, they're relatively everywhere, and they're pretty much everywhere you can find them. They're just there. Next, we got, now I really tried to throw this one together a little better, because I wouldn't say this is the starting house for the player, but I definitely wanted to give them at least like a somewhat standard, because as you can see in house design number 1, it says that I wrote that this is the main entrance is on the far left side, and as you can see, it has like an extension at the very top. I kind of wanted that to be a reference to Ash Ketchum's bedroom from the very first episode of Pokemon, where like Ash is at the very top floor, but at the same time it's more like a sunroof kind of thing, right? And as you can see in the corner towards house design number 1, there's also like a chimney to the left, and there's a window in the back. So it's kind of like I wanted them to have like that one sunroof bedroom where you could just literally see everything out of it, but it's like kind of casual. And the same goes for, you know, house design number 2. Now I kind of wanted to get a little more basic with that, but you know, it just happens, right? Next, this in particular is part of the upper ranks situation. Now specifically, I designed this house for the highest of the ranks in the series, and at some point I probably will do a video about the you know, how the ranks work in Sho'Zen, how it all comes together to a certain degree. You know, it's just a standard everything goes with everything situation. But this is where the higher ranks will be. So instead of, you know, the dormitories or apartments to themselves like the middle class and the lower class ranks, the upper class get their own place in general. Like they get the everything. Like this is their this is like a 3-bedroom townhouse for them. So like the higher your rank, the more proficient you're going to be towards the community. Like you're going to be the standout star. Basically, you're just you really him or you really her in your town. Next, now we really getting into it now. This one is going to require a little more of a description. Right here, this is the inside of the challenge of the stadium. The stadium, as I'll get to at some point, will be the centerfold for everything. As you can see, I labeled the seating arrangements, the excuse me, the reception area. There's also a TV where if you're defeated, you can go to, you know, go outside and wait, you know, watch the TV outside if you want to cheer on your friends and all that other stuff. And as you can see, I drew an arrow to where it says the seating over the arena. So basically, if you're one of the higher up students, you get those amenities as well, which means you don't get to see, you don't be in the nosebleeds. You basically, that's the skybox. That's where all the popular and more proficient players will be staying. And the other sign that says to the arena, which is basically where everybody that goes to battle will be heading out. So I didn't really put too much thought into this. I kind of was like, you know what, I kind of want the reception desk to have like 3 or 4 people at it, you know, the lines up, you know, like a whole bunch of people, kind of in a GameStop, a late 2000s GameStop midnight event kind of thing. Now next is inside the stadium, right? Now inside the stadium particularly, this is where players or just patrons can just chill and watch the movies. I mean, not watch the movies, watch the fight from there. It's usually like your kind of football arena, but at the same time, I tried my hardest to try and move away from that, but also give it a NBA aesthetic, if that makes any sense. Now we are at the hardest part and the most difficult part about this whole situation. This is actually probably one of my most difficult designs that I ever came up with. Okay, this is a crudely, horrifyingly made map of Sho'Zen. Now, I have not come up with a name for the actual city of itself, but just to give you guys a quick description. As you can see, the player's house is right here, which can also be the female counterpart, which depending on who you use will also be, like, I kind of gave myself Pokemon RPG references just for the sake of it. So this will be the player's house, right? In the back you have several different landmarks such as trees, parks, the lakes that surround the stadium, which is at the near edge of town, more trees, the apartment buildings for the middle ranks, the apartment building for the lower ranks. Now genuinely, again, I'm not saying I don't like my own drawings, but I'm also very critical of my own style. I am very critical of that. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a thing, because I surely the fuck am. Okay? Like, I crudely drew this. As you guys can see how fucking crooked this entire thing is. The map itself is lopsided. Okay? And the fact that I couldn't come up with a correct circle to use, I basically just drew like a fucking soccer ball in the top corner. But anyway. So, like I said before, the player's house is over here. You have the card shop, which is your, like I said, for the particular segment. I don't know if I was going to particularly put where I was going to put the other card shops, but I definitely decided to really stretch it out. This is the male player house, right? I like I said, depending on the counterpart you choose, in this case would be, because like I said, I was going off of our Pokemon RPG elements. So if you choose a male character, his house is over here. You make your way to your childhood friend over here, right? And then everybody makes their way to the stadium. That's not what I was going for. And like I said, it is horrifyingly drawn. It's just horrible. But I think you guys get the aesthetic thus far. Now, I'm actually going to zoom in to this one because there was a bit of an issue with excuse me, there was a bit of an issue with overall my contrast. For whatever reason, the lighting on this was unnecessarily bright, so I'm going to try to zoom in as much as I can. Yeah, okay, that's better. So this is actually the school grounds. So the school itself is actually located outside of the barrier, which, as you guys probably saw in the top corner of the city map, I actually wrote off blocked. Now, why I wrote off that it's blocked is because you have to specifically attend the academy in order to have access to the amenities that include what they call the Midnight Forest. Now, the Midnight Forest, why I call it the Midnight Forest, is because out here in Virginia there are specific places that I've seen, that I've traveled to, that I've been to multiple times, that have showcased that they relatively have more moonlight and starlight visibility available to them, right? So obviously, if you do have ranks or whatever, whether you be the lowest or the highest, you still are able to be a part of this, because this particular park is for the students to practice their skills. You can also, just come here to meet other players, that kind of thing. Okay, now why I said this, in this particular setup of Midnight Forest, it's not just your regular park. Now, as you can see, I wrote the most common type is insect and beast, right? Particularly how I wanted to go about it, there will be specific days during the week that you have to have a certain deck to participate in what I call the Midnight Forest tournaments. Now, for those of you who probably have already caught that, yes, that is a reference directly from Pokemon Legends ZA, Battle of ZA. It's basically the same ranking system. It's not a 1 of 1, or it's not a 1 to 1 of it, but at the same given token, it's really, the higher you rank, the better off. But see, the thing about it with me is, if you do the Midnight Forest challenges, which is basically specifically, if you have players that use insect-based monsters and then players that use beast-based monsters, you will have this entire aesthetic where if you beat these challenges, you won't go up just 1 rank, you'll go up 3 ranks. And like I said, it's similar to the battle system in Legends ZA. The higher rank you are, the more powerful the player that you're going to face is. So it's definitely worth a wait. Okay, so now we're actually getting to the good part. Now, for those of you who have not seen this thus far, this is actually a Photoshop mock-up of the trading card, a template trading card, I apologize, that I did for Sho'Zen some months ago. Well, a little under a year now, actually. Now, as you can see, the monster's name will be plastered up on the right side, while the card's effect will be printed below. And as you can see, the symbol in the corner, that is your type of monster / spell or trap card. So like I said, remember when I said in the very beginning that this would be a Yu-Gi-Oh inspired series, depending on how I feel about it. And in the corner, you can see this is a rank. Now, like I said, I will explain all of this at some point. It will probably take a longer video than just this. This is just the explanation of everything so far. Now, this particular card in general that I came up with, this was one of the very earliest designs that I had made when I first started coming up with monster designs, right? This is called the the this is called the Orchard of Osiris. Now, the Orchard of Osiris was actually a random idea that I came up with because I was like, you know what? I want to make this kind of weird, but make this appealing at the same time. So, essentially, what the Orchard of Osiris is, it is a spell card that allows you to see your player's hand. And mind you, I made this card specifically for the upper rank players. So this is one of those ultra rare cards that it's only a handful of people that have them. So the ability for the card itself, it lets you not only see your player's hand, but it lets you destroy any monster that's higher than the monster that you have on the field. So any monster that relatively, let's say right now, okay, I have a grade, this card is a grade 1, which means it's an ultra rare grade 1, which means it's one of the rarest cards in its grading. Meaning that if my opponent has rank 2 monsters or rank 3 monsters, I can take all those cards out of their hand almost instantly. And in the process, for every card, your monster gets a 200 power boost, which in this case, base monster attack would be for Orchard of Osiris, its base power would be 600. So this is not really a strong monster, but you get 200 boosted attack and defense if you end up destroying multiple cards that are stronger than the card itself. So if my opponent's got, let's say, 3 of each, like let's say 3 second grades and 1 third grade, that's 300 right there. So if my attack and defense up goes by 200, do the math, times 3, that's 600 each. So my monster card would be relatively 1200, such and such. It's basically just a boost. It's not really, like, I wouldn't even say honestly that this card is an attack monster. It just is what it is. Alright, this one I'm not too proud of. Yet again, this is bullshit. I don't like this one. I butchered this. This is the Genuine Stadium, which is where all the cities, everybody comes through. You can see the grand entrance right here. The widescreen television, if you haven't, just like in Pokemon when Ash fought Paul, I got the idea from there where you could see the battle from outside, right? And as you can see, similar to some football fields in the NFL, you can actually, see the screen, see the stadium actually open up. Again, I'm not proud of how I drew this. I'm trying to learn how to use the art tablet, okay? Get off my back. I know how bad these look. And finally, these are the terminal buildings where you will see the transportation happen. So say, for example, you have out-of-town students or even exchange students from another state, another country, whatever have you. These are really nothing that serious. This is just my version of an airplane terminal. And as you can see, I did make quite a few mistakes. Not proud of that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys have enjoyed the showcase. I'm trying to do better. Trust me. Just bear with me, okay? I love you guys. Make sure y'all like, follow, and subscribe, and we're going to be keeping this going.